For instance, here is a simple device, the roll thread snap gauge. In proper hands, its go and no-go rollers precisely determine the correctness of thread lead, form, and diameter of the work. In view of the fact that a few thousand threaded tubings, couplings, and bolts go into a single bomber, it is easy to understand the extent to which an inspector must rely on this sturdy device. This little mechanical detective is only one of a few dozen gauges used by the Army Air Force's inspector in his round of duty. Some of these gauges are constructed for checking a fixed dimension. Others, such as the thread gauge, are adjustable. But fixed or adjustable, the unquestioned authority of these gauges lies in the fact that they have been checked and sealed against the master gauges in the Inspection Division laboratories. In the field of precision engineering, there are two classes of inspection instruments. Those employed daily in the shop, such as the vernier caliper, the depth, snap, and spline gauges. The other class consists of those too intricate and refined for use in checking run-of-the-mill production. This second group, comparatively small in number, may be called the aristocracy of the gauge world. They are the governors which set and check the dimensional standards by which their more rugged subjects in the field must keep their vigil. These aristocrats or ruling gauges are of such delicate nature that some of them are accurate to 1/1,000,000th of an inch. The capital of this realm of precision instruments, like all activities of the Inspection Division, is located at Wright Field. Here, in this underground laboratory, these masters of dimensional control stand finely balanced on concrete bases, bases that extend well below all surface disturbances of the earth. A ceiling studded with fluorescent lamps provides shadowless light, as bright as a Texas afternoon and as cool as a Maine morning. In view of this lighting, here is an instrument of paramount importance to the functioning of this laboratory. Actually, no more than a highly sensitive recording thermometer, which, by its thermostatic control of an air and humidity conditioning unit, keeps this room at a constant temperature of 68 degrees Fahrenheit, the temperature set by the International Bureau of Standards, at which all finely calculated comparative measurements in metal are to be taken. Were the intense illumination in this room supplied by any other than a cool fluorescent light, the temperature control would be excessively affected by such things as attendants turning lights off and on or other normal activities in the area. So delicate is the control exercised by this instrument that even the body heat of one human being moving in or out of the room causes a differential and is recorded on the graph. Let's examine the record for the past 24 hours. Beginning at 7:30 a.m., this document shows that at 11:30, the majority of the laboratory attendants went out to lunch. The sudden removal of their bodies as a heat-producing factor in the room called for an adjustment. Later in the afternoon, several factory representatives visited the laboratory. At quitting time, the boys went home. Finally, we see just when the watchman made his hourly rounds, and almost to the minute, how long he stayed. Nearly everyone is aware of the fact that metals will expand when heated and contract when cooled. The center of a suspension bridge of any great span will rise and fall a matter of feet in reaction to temperature changes between noon and midnight. However, this laboratory is seldom concerned with any such measurements. The figures with which they reckon are more often from 4 to 6 digits to the right of a decimal point. For example, here is an electric limit gauge which illustrates just what the International Bureau of Standards means when they say 68 degrees Fahrenheit shall be the temperature at which all minute comparative measurements of metal shall be taken. At 68 degrees Fahrenheit, the length of this highly refined steel gauging block is as nearly an exact 4 inches as anything on Earth. Each calibration on the dial represents 5/millionths of an inch. As this instrument is used for comparative measurements only, the gauge block is placed between the contacts and the read is set at 0. Now let us see what a change of temperature can do to our otherwise reliable gauge block. Heat from this man's hand causes it to grow at the rate of some 5/millionths of an inch per second. The human eye and touch are capable of going a great way toward harnessing the elements of this earth. But without magnification of those forms beyond the reach of human perception, our long-range bombers would not as yet be roaring through the skies. Much that we now know would still be only dreams of things to come. Dreams such as those of Leonardo da Vinci some 400 years ago. Optical and mechanical magnification, then, becomes the first law in this supreme court of craftsmanship. As to mechanical magnification, a hair's breadth can literally be determined on this standard measuring machine. The invisible movement of its measuring contacts is mechanically exaggerated on the pressure dial. The reading of the vernier below is mechanically and optically magnified. It tells us the diameter of this hair is just 2.5 thousandths of an inch. With the facilities of this laboratory, an innocent-looking little brass screw, fine enough to contain 56 threads to the inch, may be exposed in a real amount of treachery when magnified no more than 30 times. Poor or perfect, any part which is submitted to the merciless judgment of these instruments and the engineers who operate them will have its size and state of finish amplified enough times that there will be nothing left to the highly variable human eye and touch. In the matter of analyzing surface finishes, an optical flat is probably the smoothest man-made surface of any practical size. Made of the highest quality glass, it is polished to a finish almost equal to that of a precious stone. When the needle of this surface analyzer is drawn, feather light, across the face of a good optical flat, a surface irregularity of only 1/millionth of an inch would cause the recording arm to swing 1 millimeter to the right or left. The record on the traveling graph shows the surface of this optical flat to be in good standing. Now let's take an aircraft engine wrist pin. Half of this pin has been polished for a low tolerance fit. The other half having been left in a state of finish such as would be found in an automobile engine of a few years ago. This analyzer finds the contrast between these two finishes so great that the operator is compelled to reduce the ratio of the recorder from millionths to 100,000ths in order to keep the test within the limits of the instrument. One expert toolmaker may mic a 3/4 inch plug gauge and get a reading of 0.75005. Another pair of equally skilled but slightly heavier hands may find it to be 0.74990, a difference of only 1 1/2 tenths of a thousandth. Not much of a difference, but with tolerances in modern engines running to similar figures, this supermicrometer is coldly impersonal and consistent, for its touch is a finely tempered spring which may be set to a mechanically constant pressure. The adjusting dial for this spring mechanically magnifies its slightest variance. As long as the temperature and humidity in this room remain constant, the vernier of this super mic will check this reading until doomsday.